Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to another episode of the Red Zone podcast. I'm your host, Fletch, coming back again, talking all things Liverpool. And today I want to talk about the West Ham game, the Liverpool West Ham game, in which we won 4-0. I will be talking about that. I'll also be talking about previewing the game against Crystal Palace on Monday night. But I feel like we need to open the show talking about the unfortunate incident that happened with Mo Salah this week. It was after the West Ham game. He was coming home from the game and he was recorded using his phone whilst in his car. Whilst I don't condone what he did, of course, it makes it makes complete sense as to why this is a bad thing and whatever. But when you read the context of the situation, that the car was stationary, to be fair, it's not like he was using it whilst he was moving. But the more context about it is, it still seems bad anyway. But the context of the situation is that someone got out of their car whilst in traffic, or someone was just there at the time, and they were trying to get his autograph. Um, of course, with the scenario and the scene, you understand why he didn't want to give the autograph. Like, he's in his car. Like, traffic could have moved at any moment. It seems ridiculous, but the way that it's been filmed and the way it's been portrayed, they're making out like he's a bad guy. To give you a bit more context on this, the guy who wanted his autograph, his name is Robbie Wiley. He's alleged to be notorious for getting autographs on various sports stars, on various pieces of sports memorabilia, and then selling them on for like a profit. He's well known within the sport, within the world of sport, to doing this, and it just seemed really bad at the time. And Salah was having none of it. Salah seemed to know who he was straight away, and that's probably why he didn't want to give. Well, apart from the scenario that was in front of him, another reason was probably why was because he knew him as to why he didn't want to give him an autograph anyway. And it did seem like the video was posted on various social media sites, and then obviously it went viral due to the pettiness of this guy, that he wouldn't give him what he wanted. It does seem petty in that respect. He's obviously came out and denied this. He said it wasn't petty. It was just, it came out and he wanted to just show. And he tried to portray Salah as being a bad guy. Like, he wouldn't sign anything for kids that were around. He wouldn't sign anything for him. But many people have come in defense of the Egyptian, and it's good to see because, yeah, no one condones the fact that he was using a phone whilst behind the wheel of a car, but given the scenario that was in front of him, given the fact that the guy is notorious and well known for doing what he does and getting autographs to sell on, it was just seemed great that everyone came together in support of Salah, despite the fact that him and and some of the media sites were also giving off the impression that Salah's a bad guy. Like, we come to this debate again that the media is once again trying to portray certain stars as being bad guys. Like, Mo Salah's done incredible unselfish acts and charity work, not just around Liverpool but back home in Egypt as well. He's very well known for being a humble guy, being a guy that wants to give back to the community, because let's face it, footballers are not obliged to do that. They're not under no obligation or being forced to give back to the fans in any kind of way. Footballers go out of their way to do that in most cases. They don't have to give away free stuff. They don't have to give away their money. They don't have to give away anything that they own or possess to do for the better good of the community or the people around them. They don't have to do that, but they want to. They want to give something back, and we have to be grateful for that. And the moment that fans start going out of line like this, it has to go under the spotlight. It has to go under the microscope. It has to be drawn attention to, because it gets ridiculous to a certain point. Like, no fans should only be should only approach like this if the star wants them to. That's how I see it anyway. Like, they shouldn't be harassed after like a game if they don't want to. They shouldn't be harassed. Definitely not in the car in busy traffic, as it seemed to be the case here. They shouldn't be forced to do that, and they shouldn't be definitely forced to do something for a guy that is not going to appreciate it as much as just seeing it as a profit-making tool, a money-making tool, sorry. But again, the media was just after clickbait titles because there was no context of the situation. The headlines pretty much read that Mo Salah was using a phone behind the wheel of a car. It's only until you dive into it that you realise that the bigger picture of it is that there was more to this story than Salah just using a phone behind the wheel. There was more to the fact that it was reported to by police. It was more than the fact that it was reported by some random guy online. There was actually a proper story behind it, a genuine story, and it just showed that the title made him look like a bad guy. It put him in a bad light. But when you see like the story behind it, it actually it doesn't condone the way that he used it, but allegedly a witness to the scene has allegedly came out and he said Salah was using the phone as sort of like a way of making him seem busy, which I can kind of agree with to an extent, because when I walk through town and I see people begging for money and stuff, I kind of put my headphones on, or even if I'm not listening to music, or I just get my phone out, pretend to be typing a message and pretend to not see them. So if that's the case, I can kind of understand where that's coming from. But yeah, if you go past the headlines and stuff, you can get to see the bigger picture. And we all know Salah. We all know what Salah does for the community and for his home country of Egypt. We all know what he does. It's very well documented that he always likes to give something back, and he's a genuine nice guy. So I wouldn't take this story as him being a bad guy. It's the same with what media do with the likes of Mario Balotelli and Raheem Sterling. Yeah, Balotelli may be a bit wild and a bit crazy, but he's always been in the news. The stuff that goes in the news about him that's not as well documented is the stuff that he does for the good, like for the community and people around him wherever he's playing. He does a lot of good stuff. And Raheem Sterling's another one. He does a lot of charity work and stuff like that. He's always looking to give something back, and yet the media will constantly berate him every time he has a poor performance for England, or if he has something crazy like a gun tattoo, which means something to him but people take it the wrong way, kind of thing. So again, it just seems like another case of professional and amateur journalism portraying or trying to portray someone in a bad light, because we all know how Salah really is, and it's not a case of like, oh well, he's got a good reputation so he always must be good. It's not a case of that. It's just a case of this going way out of proportion, and a bigger story behind the massive title of trying to portray someone in a bad light. But away from stuff off the pitch, let's talk about something better, which is on the pitch. And Liverpool's season kicked off in an amazing way, an incredible way. 4-0 victory over West Ham. It was, for the most part, it was pretty easy. It seemed it was a professional performance. A great start to the season. Mo Salah back amongst the goals. He kicked Liverpool off in a great way. A great assist from Andrew Robertson, who was again back to being great on as a left back role. He just seems to be getting better and better with every game. Mane scored on the stroke of half time. A great finish, turning in James Milner's cross, and then did so again when Firmino played him through. Although the goal was offside, the amount of unfortunate events that happened to us last season where we were on the wrong end of. It's nice to see that we're getting something back this season. possibly could have meant more in a game and a much tighter game. The look, but it was like I say, it was offside. It was definitely offside. There's no way you can deny it. But it's nice to see a little bit of luck finally falling in our favour. And it was also great to see Daniel Sturridge score as well. He came on and within seconds scored a tap in after coming from the back post from a corner. It was great to see him back amongst the goals. And like I said in the previous podcast, he will be a great backup to Firmino and a great plan B to have, and that's what it proved to be. It was a complete professional performance. I thought every player pretty much played their part and played well. The back four of Trent, Van Dijk, Gomez and Robertson were all great. I thought Gomez in particular, because this was like pretty much the first time we've seen Van Dijk and Gomez play as a duo at the heart of the defence, and I thought they both played really well. There were a couple of times where Gomez was just caught on his heels a little bit by Arnautovic, but Arnautovic didn't punish them minor errors. There were a couple of things to be ironed out there, but if they continue to play as a duo at the back through Lovren's injury, it would definitely put Lovren's position as a starter on the back foot. I do like this partnership. I do like that Gomez is a young kid coming through, English as well. So I really hope that this partnership kind of sticks throughout the entire season. Because him alongside Trent as well, and two very young English guys at the back, would do really, really, really well as well. I'll move on. I'll talk about Trent for a minute, because Trent played very well at right back, and he was crucial to the first goal. In fact, it was his ball to Keita, who I'll also talk about. His ball to Keita was superb, and his passing's always been great. His delivery's always been great from a wide point of view. But it emerged after the game that Jurgen Klopp's possibly considering playing him as a midfielder, as a central midfielder. And whilst his passing range does seem to suit that, his delivery on Sunday I thought was pretty poor at times, surprisingly. But the majority of the time, his crossing and his passing is pretty much on point. And whilst it does seem like, long range passing midfielder kind of goes hand in hand well, I wouldn't like it. I like seeing him as a right back. He's got good pace about him. He's not the fastest, but he's no slow coach either. Like I said, his delivery's great. He always offers us that option whenever we can't break down a stubborn defence to go through the middle, so we just play it out to him. He whips in a cross, and it always manages to cause problems. I'm not too crazy about him possibly turning into a midfielder. Is there something I'm missing here? This is something for you, for the comment section, I think. So right in the comment section below, will Trent make a good midfielder, or should he stay as a right back? I thought the three in midfield were fantastic. I thought Milner controlled the game. He was everywhere as per usual. He just seems to get better with age. Wijnaldum, disciplined, strong, controlled the midfield brilliantly. He's just the guy who's just... He will be a big part, and I think Fabinho would definitely challenge him more this season. His role is basically just to get the ball down in the middle of the park and just look out wide for Robertson, for Trent, for Salah. That's just what his role was, and he played that very well and controlled the game. And Naby Keita, Jamie Redknapp in 8 minutes said that he'd only been playing 8 minutes of Premier League football, and it looked like he'd been playing there for 8 years, and that's how it felt, because pretty much everything Keita did on Sunday seemed effortless. It just seemed like he just slotted right into that role, slotted right into the style of play, and it was perfect. It was perfect for him. It was perfect for Liverpool. And I can't wait to see this guy continue to go on and develop and get better and better with every game, because he was just faultless. Like apart from one wild attempt he had in the second half, but you know it was it. I think if I was in that position as well, I probably would have had a left foot swipe at it, and I'm not left footed, but yeah, I can't really blame him for that. The game was won by that point, so it doesn't really matter anyway. But he was so great on Sunday. He was very impressive on his debut, and you know, I can't wait to see more of him. As I'm sure many Liverpool fans and maybe even neutral fans are the same, because there were a lot of he caught the eye of a lot of people on Sunday. I can guarantee you that. So he seems to have bedded in almost instantly. It says a lot when, because obviously Mane got his 2 goals and he was on fire. He's going to be a massive player this season, obviously, and I think he will be even better than he was last season and the season before. Even though allegedly last season he didn't really have that good of a season, but his goals and assist ratio will tell you that that is a lie. Salah was great. He got his goal. He's off the mark already. Like I say, Mane, amazing. It says a lot that the only player who looked a little off the pace in that game was probably Firmino. He did get an assist with the Mane thing, despite it being offside, of course, but he did look a little off the pace. But even so, like, he was like, he didn't have to get out of, like, second gear. But you could definitely tell that he wasn't as on fire or on point as what he normally is in a Liverpool shirt. And of course that just leaves Alisson, but he had very little to do in the game. He was very really tested. He only had like a couple of easy saves to make that were pretty much straight at him. But the other thing to point out as well is he did have the ball at his feet a few times, and he looked so calm and cool and collected. So with the ball at his feet, and it was such a great change to see, because usually we're used to seeing a goalkeeper sort of panic when the ball's at his feet. Not Alisson though. It was a nice change to hear and see the fans that whenever the ball was at Alisson's feet and there was a opponent closing him down, he was just so calm and cool, and he just played it. He just played the ball perfectly to a player. And it was just nice to hear the fans that were like panicking, whereas Alisson just looked calm and cool and just got on with the game. It was great to see. But yeah, he had very little to do, and it puts down a good marker for the rest, for going into next week's game, which is against Crystal Palace. The substitutions that came on, we didn't get to see Fabinho, but we did get to see Shaqiri. He came on, took a good couple of touches, didn't really have much of an impact, but didn't really need to, because the game was more or less won by then, and it was just a case of seeing the game out. I also had Sturridge come on, of course. Like I said, Sturridge scored within seconds of coming on, and as I said before, him as a plan B, him as a backup to Firmino, it could possibly win us a few points this season, I think. It's great to see him back amongst the goals. If he can stay fit and healthy, he will win us points this season, and he will do it so well, and it will give Firmino some competition to stay on his toes and continue to perform, because although he, like I say, he wasn't up to a normal Firmino standard on Sunday, he was still pretty good. He still his link up play was still pretty good, and his pressing was still on point. So it wasn't like it was a terrible performance, but it was not the best. Man of the match for me, you could have picked any one of the midfield three, to be honest. You can include Mane as well in that. Mane was great. Constantly tortured the defence of West Ham, but for me, the midfield three controlled the game so well. It made the West Ham midfield look non-existent, as they were throughout most of the game. Sky gave it to Milner. Personally, I would probably have said Keita, but you know, like I just said, Genie or Milner could have, Juni, Milner or Kea easily could have won man of the match on that game. They were all so impressive, and it was just a good professional performance by Liverpool. If they keep that up, who knows this season? As far as like people saying possible title contenders, of course, the main favourites are Manchester City. And whilst we're talking about the Premier League and the Premier League title race, we will say Man City were 2-0 winners against Arsenal, the rebuilding Arsenal. 2-0. It wasn't a well-oiled performance by City. It wasn't. There was a few mistakes within their ranks a few times, but they got away with it. But for the opening day, it's all about getting 3 points. And whilst it wasn't like 100% perfect, the majority of the game was well controlled and was kind of perfect on their part. And you can definitely see why they are good. They are really, really good. And yeah, they are still strong. They've strengthened with Mahrez. It's not exactly a complete overall strengthening, but they didn't really need to do that anyway. 1 or 2 positions. But the bad news is that Kevin De Bruyne is now out for a few months with a knee injury, having injured in training yesterday, which would be Tuesday the 15th as I'm now recording. So extremely unfortunate for that. Of course, it bodes well. It's weird. It's weird because it bodes well for rivals and for teams that are going to be playing City. That a star player is going to be injured, but it's never nice to see a player injured like that. It's never nice to see this. We always want to see the best. Even neutrals and rivals still want to see the best to make sure that their team are also performing at the best level, at the best kind of expectation. So it's never nice to see an injury like this, especially to a player like De Bruyne, who's simply amazing. He's just so incredible to watch. So hopefully a speedy recovery for him, and hopefully he can get back on the pitch. Although what I will say is this, as one door closes, another one opens. This could very well apply here, and this could be a very big opportunity for Phil Foden, Manchester City's young, exciting prospect. Fingers crossed that he gets more of a chance now that De Bruyne is going to be out for some time, and hopefully he steps up and rises to the occasion, because like Gomez and Trent, he is another young English prospect, and I hope that everything will work out for him. So that's Liverpool taken care of for last week. That's a little bit of a review. Could be even more than 4 actually. Thinking about it, there was some good chances. Salah had another one where it was a great save by Fabianski. Trent had a great free kick that was well saved by Fabianski. He kind of kept the score at 4. There were a few also half chances that were just not quite clicking for Liverpool so far, but you'd expect that in a few months' time they'll be burying them kind of half chances, making them chances into full chances. So as far as first games of the season go, because normally they can be quite tight and close affairs, they can be the kind of games that no one really wants to lose, sort of like the beginning of a tournament. No one really wants to lose the first game. Everyone wants to sort of get over the line with 3 points, no matter how poorly you play or no matter how you play, basically. They just want the 3 points. That's pretty much how the first game of the season goes. But for Liverpool, the 3 points was done. It was completed. The great performance was a bonus, and they round off the first game of the new Premier League season. 4-0 winners against West Ham on top of the league. Now, if in 37 games more time we are still top of the league, what a season. But of course there's a long way to go. And the first obstacle in that 37 game list is Crystal Palace. The first Monday night football on Sky Sports this season. It is Crystal Palace versus Liverpool on Monday the 20th of August. It's going to be at Selhurst Park. And as we all know, this fixture has a bit of history behind it. In recent seasons, Palace have been a slight thorn in Liverpool's side. This obviously dates back to the dramatic 3-3 draw in 2014, where Palace came back from 3-0 down to draw 3-3, and of course was seen as a big reason why the end of that season was poor for Liverpool and why they missed out on the league title. Last season, though, Liverpool did get the victory at Selhurst Park. Sadio Mane got the only goal. I think it was the second game of the season last season, if I'm not mistaken, again. And this was when Frank de Boer was in charge. And Palace went on a run of 7 games without scoring or recording a single point. So it shows you just how things have changed at Palace. Roy Hodgson's got them playing decent. He's got his style implemented. He's got a well drilled sort of unit as a team. Probably they only just it's difficult to say with Palace because they're kind of very inconsistent and you don't know really what's going to happen with them. They're the kind of side that has the potential to overachieve this season and probably be like what Burnley were last season, but at the same time they have the potential as well to completely self-destruct at times and probably be in a relegation fight. I'm going to go with the middle ground and I'm going to say that they're going to end up being mid-table. They'll be around 10th to 14th at most or something like that. It's whether they can get Zaha, who I think is getting better and better every game. He seems to have shrugged off the whole kind of Manchester United thing, put that all behind him, and is now focusing on his game more and more with every week. And he definitely came good at certain points during last season, and he's still very, very good. And I think that he's found the right level at Palace to be good. I don't think he can go really much higher and expect to be at that level. But if they can get Zaha to be consistent, if he can not get injured at any point, the main worry from Palace point of view is striker. Benteke hasn't shown at Liverpool or at Palace the same form he has showed at Aston Villa during his time there. At Aston Villa, he was getting I can't even remember his scoring stats, but he was basically scoring pretty much a goal every 3 games or something like that. He was just a great goal scorer at Aston Villa. He was a threat to any defence. He was a defender's worst nightmare. He was just a monster. And then he moved to Liverpool. His confidence went. He wasn't being played to at his strengths. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out for him there. And it's only continued at Palace. I'm really surprised Palace haven't brought in a sort of recognised striker to really challenge him. It's just frustrating because we all know how good Benteke can be. We all know he possesses great strength, ability, and he's good with the ball at his feet as well. He's the kind of perfect all-round striker. He's not just a target man for long ball. But at the same time, it's just frustrating that a guy like this is just faltering. But Wilfried Zaha will definitely be the danger man on Monday. Now that I've probably said that, actually, probably Benteke will score the winner. Fingers crossed he doesn't, but I apologise right now if I've just cursed it. But yeah, Zaha will be the danger man. And as far as Crystal Palace's season goes, him and Benteke will need to be consistent. They will need to be injury free, and they will definitely need to be amongst the goals if Palace are to survive and possibly push on to be potential dark horses this season for an overachieving finish. Andros Townsend as well is another name. He has the potential to change a game as well. He'll be up against Andrew Robertson. Robertson, like I say, getting better by the game. Townsend will be interesting to see how he plays. It will just be a very interesting game because Palace normally turn up for this game. Palace are normally really up for a game against Liverpool, and it will just be good to see how they play this one because, like I say, Hodgson's now had almost a full season now in which he is with these players and how he's going to set them up. Klopp is looking more to challenge for trophies this season, so it'll be very interesting to see how this one plays out. Of course I'm going to go for a Liverpool win. Of course I am, and I'm going to say it's going to be 3-1. I'm going to say that all front three players are going to be amongst the goals again. I'm going to say Salah, Mane and Firmino are going to be all amongst the goals, and I'm going to say Zaha scores for them. But other than that, it's going to be a great season. It's going to be a great week, hopefully. And like I say, the Mo Salah thing, don't pay too much attention to it. It's just a strange one. It's just something very unfortunate that's come out of the game, and hopefully this wouldn't just all blow over and nothing more will be said about it, because it doesn't really need to be honest. It's like, yeah, he was wrong to use his phone, or whether he was just using his phone to seem distracted so he didn't have to give the guy the time of day. I don't know, but doesn't need to be taken any further, I don't think. And like I said, the Liverpool game against West Ham was great professional performance, and a game against Palace should be very interesting to see how both teams approach it. Guys, if you like the video, if you like the podcast, let me know in the description below. Also, any of the talking points, did you like the game on Sunday? Was there anything that I missed in the game that you thought was interesting? What about the thing I talked about with Trent Alexander-Arnold becoming a midfielder? Do you think that's a good move for him? Do you think he should stay as a right back? Do you think he should stay on the right but maybe progress as a winger? Gomez and Van Dijk as a centre-back partnership, let me know your thoughts on that. Milner or Henderson in midfield. I didn't really talk about Henderson much, but that was also another talking point. Does Henderson come in for Milner? Does Milner and Henderson rotate? Where does Fabinho fit in? It's a lot of options to have, a lot of good quality to have. It'll be interesting to see what kind of combination we play. For me, I think the team for Crystal Palace is unchanged. But we could get to see Fabinho as a substitute and make his debut for Liverpool. Any of the talking points, guys, I'd love to hear your comments in the description down below. I'll try and get like some sort of plan for next week's episode in which I have an actual plan set in mind for this, because this is sort of, it started off okay and then towards the end it sort of got a bit muddled. But yeah, any comments in the about any of the talking points I talked about, would love to hear them in the description in the comment section below. Otherwise, guys, if you like the podcast, hit that like button on the way out. If you are new or want to see more content like this, or any other football content or gaming content, whatever you want, it's all on my channel, so hit that subscribe button as well. It would be very much appreciated. And of course, guys, look forward to the game on Monday. I've been Fletch. This has been the Red Zone Podcast, and I'll see you in the next video.